Have you ever wondered that socialism, if a country just gets socialism, it's gonna end homelessness? So as you know, New York just got socialism, and according to them, I guess it's gonna end homelessness. So is this true? So I'm in Sweden, and did socialism just get rid of homelessness? Do I not see any homeless people here? So the truth is, socialism causes homelessness, it doesn't solve it. So what is the real solution to fixing homelessness? So the real solution, if a country wanna end homelessness, what they need is universal basic income. So it's the real solution. People should stop thinking socialism is gonna get rid of homelessness. Socialism is gonna create problems, it's not gonna fix problems. It might fix some problems, but it's gonna create new problems, which is even worse. So I'm gonna explain why universal basic income is the real solution. So this is why. So socialism creates too much bureaucracy. You have to prove your need, fill out endless forms, and wait for approval. Many get denied or wait too long. So that's number one, why socialism doesn't work. Number two, forces people into unwanted jobs. Government programs often require you to work in jobs you don't want, just to keep receiving help. So imagine you're this guy, you're like, I don't want to be homeless, I want the welfare money from the government because it's a socialist. The government will say, okay, so get a job, we have some jobs for you. If you refuse, get homeless because you refuse to help yourself. And then we have number three, creates dependency. People rely on government programs instead of having freedom to manage their own lives. So imagine you're this guy, you want freedom, but the government says, you have to go to this program, you have to go to this. Otherwise, if you want real freedom, homelessness is gonna be your real freedom, which is not really that fun. It's not fun to be homeless. And then we have number four, slow response. Emergencies like eviction or hunger don't wait for paperwork. Socialism can't react fast enough. So if you're hungry, if you're dying, the socialist program will tell you, please sign this paper before, and also we need to make sure you follow all the rules before we're gonna help you. And you're like dying from hunger, and the socialist program will not, they will need to make sure you sign the papers and stuff before you get any help. And it's a lot of work before you can receive the help. And then number five is limited freedom of choice. You can't just decide where or how to live, the system controls you. So you cannot be like, okay, so I want to move to a different city. That's not how it works in a socialist country. They will tell you, you can't just change city, you belong to this city, and if you move to a different city, you cannot get help there. So you're stuck in the city you're in. And then number six, inefficient use of money. So high taxes, so it's high taxes, tax the rich, that's what they say. Tax the rich, get rid of the rich and billionaires, make them leave the country. Let's just tax the middle class. That's what it ends up. The rich leaves, the middle class is only taxed. And then it just wastes the money, and complicated programs mean not enough reaction or not enough reaches the people who need it most. So it's not gonna solve anything, socialism. It might solve some stuff, but it creates a lot of other issues, like I said. And so now I'm gonna explain why, I'm gonna explain why universal basic income is the real solution, if it actually works. So our country hasn't really tried it yet, so we don't know. It just looks good on paper. That was the idea with socialism, it looked good on paper. So we are not 100% sure. Many people are skeptical about universal basic income, but here's the idea how it's supposed to be better than socialism. So, number 1, direct cash to everyone. No conditions, no waiting, no forms, money goes straight to the people.
Universal basic income money for you.
So so the idea with universal basic income, for it to work and not become a socialist system that sucks, everybody has to get it. Not just the poor, not just like poor and middle class. The rich has to get it too.
Oh, my universal basic income just arrived.
If the rich doesn't get it, this system is not gonna work, because it will make so the rich leave the country, because every people need universal basic income. That's the whole idea with it. That's why it's not supposed to become a socialist system that makes you leave the country. And number 2 is freedom to choose work. Do what you want without being forced into government jobs. So you don't need to work for the government, you don't need to do all that stuff. You just get the money because you exist. And then number 3, immediate effect on homelessness. Everyone can afford at least basic housing. So this is supposed to, as I said, like universal basic income makes it affordable. You don't need to be homeless anymore because you get money. So it's your choice. You can decide, I want to use the money to stop being homeless, or I'm gonna use this money to get drugs and alcohol and just live on the street. So homelessness becomes optional. You're not forced to stop being homeless. You can decide, I want drugs instead. But I think the smartest options will be to stop being homeless. And then number 4, stimulates local economy. People spend money on goods and services, boosting businesses. So as you know, when people get money, they get money to spend on the rich people. The rich people create the businesses, so the rich gets happy, and the poor gets money to spend, so the poor gets happy. So the idea is everybody should get happy, not just the poor, like the socialism trying to do. They don't even make the poor happy. In universal basic income, everybody is supposed to be happy. And number 5, reduces poverty stress. Mental health improves and social problems decrease. So people are more happy, they don't have to worry about, oh no, I'm gonna get homeless. They have to realize they can stop spending money on the drugs, like you said, and actually get a home. If they wanna quit drugs and wanna stop being homeless, it's up to them. So, number 6, encourages entrepreneurship. Start a business without fearing instant failure. So you don't need to worry about, okay, so if I spend my money on this, it's gonna crash. I mean, it can crash of course, but you get money every single month. You don't need to worry about, oh no, next month I might not have money. Next month you get more money. Every month you get money. Everybody gets money every single month. Number 7, simpler and fairer system. One payment for everyone beats the endless complexity of welfare. So as I said this before, right, that it gets rid of all the paperwork. You just get the money into your bank account. Everybody needs to get the money into their bank account. If they decided, I'm not gonna give this guy money, that's when universal basic stops being universal basic income, because everybody has to get money. And that's why so many countries are not having it, because it's gonna be really expensive to afford to give every single person money. And this shows why socialism is a scam. Because according to socialism, shouldn't everybody get help? But don't they limit it for some people? Some people might get help, some others don't, because they have a limited number of people they help. And this shows why if they can't have universal basic income, that means socialism is super unfair. And then number 8, freedom to live where you can afford. So you should be able to live wherever you want. You don't need to rely on your government telling you you can only get help from this government if you move to a different city. If you move to like a different city, then they're like, oh, you have to register here and stuff. In your universal basic income, you should not need to have to register to get help. So it should be freedom to live where you can afford. If big cities are too expensive, you can move to a smaller town and still survive. So in socialism, you can't just move to a smaller city. So you won't just be able to like, okay, so let's say you live in Stockholm and you're like, oh, this is too expensive, but you really receive your welfare from Stockholm. You can just move to a different city, like, I don't know, a smaller one, and say, okay, I'm gonna try and get help here instead. They will tell you, move back to Stockholm where you belong. They're not gonna say, okay, we can help you here instead. That's not how it works in socialism. They're gonna tell you to move back to the city where you came from to get help. They're not gonna say, we're not gonna get in a new person to help. You have to move back to your own city. And with universal basic income, they fix this problem because every person gets money. It doesn't matter what city you live in. Every single city give you money, the same amount as everybody. So everybody gets around. The idea is everybody should get. So in Sweden, to survive, $1,000 might work, but it would be a bit low. But you could survive on it. You don't need to be homeless. Some cities are very cheap in Sweden, so you can just move to those cheap cities and survive there. So the rent in cheap cities might just be $500. So that means you have $100 for electricity, and then you have $400 left for food and stuff, and that should be enough for surviving. That's kind of how much you get when you live on the social welfare. So thanks for watching this video, and put in the prayer request in the comments so people can pray for each other, and have a good one.